How much mainstream news coverage do you think CIG is getting if they announce Squadron at Invictus? Do they follow up the Game Fest? Yeah, well, I think we've done this before, but now all the pieces are coming into play. It's going to look something like this. So we're going to have Drake, defense, on, funding, passes, 1 bill. Craziness. That will then lead to tons of articles. Negative. There'll be generally negative articles, but the all publicity is good publicity. Does that still apply? I don't know if that applies. And then from there, I think we get some sort of Invictus launch week, Squadron pre-order, Squadron date. I think that's what happens there. Which again because if you imagine the hype train like this, so the hype train from CitizenCon just in the community goes up. So the hype train gets marketing train. Tons of articles make the noise go up. They suddenly finally say Squadron 42's coming. And then after that, yeah, then I would expect, if they're going all out, which I think they probably will, Summer Games Best trailer. So the marketing hype continues. And then maybe they'll do another one because there's more stuff. But then effectively, eventually we get to a release around CitizenCon. That, I think if CIG was to design it, that's what they'd want. The hype is already in the community building because of the Ironclad, the battle cruiser, and that will push the funding past $1 billion. That will itself generate tons of noise. The headlines for that are easy. The headlines for this are, so finally, after 16 years, Squadron 42 is releasing. There'll be articles along those lines. Star Citizen still isn't finished. So they'll be negative. There'll be articles like that. But then the noise around it will be big. But then if they can utilize that and then get the articles saying, out of nowhere, Squadron's coming out. Unbelievable. Squadron. Keep in mind, yeah. So they've got GTA is the big thing. That the thing with GTA is we've talked about this a lot. GTA is like a big, massive brick that could just squash all this hype because it's just too much noise. GTA is just too much noise. The key, I think, is to go slightly before GTA. If they can release in October, and because GTA might get delayed anyway, but if they can release in October, they've got a little bit of time. Gamescom is when they want to release. When's Gamescom? What's the date? Summer is not great. I think normally, as proven by their funding model here, summer's not typically a great time to release games. It's warm, everybody's outside, or at least in certain countries. And I think winter tends to be a much better place to drop a game. Maybe they'll buck that trend. Maybe they'll just say, well, we'll just take the risk and we'll do it ourselves anyway. We'll just go for it. A few industry insiders have said GTA 6 is locked in for mid-November. Yeah. So that's the other factor in all this. We still have no CitizenCon date. Is that because part of this will be, so it's Squadron date, pre-orders and CitizenCon details. Are we right to say we're later than we ever have been? And there's probably reason for that. I think it's likely to be digital. I don't think, well, they could do a physical Squadron. Maybe they could do maybe they'll do a day. I think it costs them so much money. I keep spelling Squadron on. It costs them so much money to put on Squadron, to put on CitizenCon. I wonder if they'll just do a day. I don't know. There is no CitizenCon this year. Do you think? Interesting. There'll be a CitizenCon, but they want media there. Well, yeah, if they were going to do, so the thing is, I'll take you back in time. Here you go. So I woke up early in the queue. I got there at I was technically first in the queue, but then some other people have stood in the wrong place. And so they then got moved, but they got put in front of me. But anyway, I was like in the first 5 or something like that. I got there really early. And so this is us queuing up for CitizenCon a few years ago, 2024, interviewing people. It's fun, a lot of fun, a lot of people talking. All the talk here at this CitizenCon was, Mark Hamill is going to be here, and Mark Hamill is going to tell us about Squadron 42. This is the time. Squadron is finally done. They're going to tell us about Squadron. Jared came out and spoke to everybody. Let's see if I can find it. I'll move it forward a bit. There he is. So Jared comes out to basically entertain us for a little bit because we're all, you were there. Ah, fun. Maybe some of you were there. You were actually there too, fun. Yes. Nice. Well, all the people who came and said hello to me, that was a lot of fun. He came out and he was basically just giving us a bit of entertainment. And somebody shouted out to him, they asked the question like, is Mark Hamill going to be here? And what he should have done is he should have shut it down and be like, no, Mark Hamill is not. He said something like, you're going to be, maybe it was in the lead up to it. He said something like, it's going to be really exciting or whatever. And I think everybody was like, this is it. This is finally the time for Squadron. Something like that. But in fact, it wasn't the time for Squadron. What they could do maybe this year is what everybody hoped they were going to do here, is they do pull in Mark Hamill, they pull into the cast, they put them all in a room, they do some stage stuff, they show off some more stuff of the game. They overhyped this one a little bit because, as in, the thing with this one was everybody, I think I've talked about this plenty of places before, but when they then did this, the whole thing here, and then when they got to the end, so everybody watched, so we're all sitting here, we're all thinking Mark Hamill's going to appear any minute. They then did the end of this, and so they did there's like a trailer bit at the end of it. Yeah, this is it. This is like trailery bits, stuff that's in the game. They then did this bit here where the ship flies towards us. Very cool. Star Wars stuff. Very fun. It flies towards us. And then Squadron 42. And we're all thinking, it releases 2025. And it releases 2026. It was a crushing moment. The room was like, everybody was so, everybody was like, this is it. It's here. It's finally here. And it wasn't finally here. It was 2 more years. I think from CitizenCon onwards, if they are going to release it this year, it's going to be upwards marketing, hype, excitement. I like to do this poll because I think it's getting more and more certain. I could be so wrong. If I'm wrong, I'm going to be so upset with myself. I've been drawn in again. He's got me again. Chris has got me again. If they delay it again, I'm going to be so angry. Not at myself. I'm fully, at this point, I'm fully in. I'm fully in. So what we'll do this and then we'll finish. We'll do, because I think every time we do this poll, it's getting more and more certain. There you go. Yes or no? Keep it simple. Is Squadron releasing in 2026? I've convinced myself over the last couple of months. I think all the signs, everything is pointing to it's actually finally happening. At one point earlier in the year, I'd convinced myself that it couldn't come out because of GTA. But with all the signs that we've seen, all the stuff that they've been putting on the website, all the buyback drama, everything that's going on, at this stage, I just think we can cry. It'll be a good cry. Yeah, it'll crash in the first mission and you go again. Yeah, I will be a simple thank you. Can we get a proper MMO now, please? Well, that's it. I think for a lot of people, ultimately, I think most people, I'm in this boat as well. I want all this done. So you can do that. That's all I'll enjoy Squadron. It'll be fun, but I just want them to work on Star Citizen 1.0. I know Squadron was a 3-chapter thing. I'm kind of hoping Squadron is done. Won't be surprised if it's not. If it's successful, they'll definitely do more, but you'd hope that next up, it's all about SC 1.0. One of my major hopes is that once Squadron is out, the balance of the Force is restored. And even though we'll keep going with this analogy, even though Squadron 42 did go to the dark side for a while and took all the dev resources away from Star Citizen, eventually Squadron 42 will return balance to the Force, although the balance actually will be complete focus on Star Citizen. That's my hope. I'm sure there might be some pre-production done on Squadron 42 episode 2, so they'll start writing stuff maybe. If Squadron is a success, if Squadron is a failure, I think that's the end of Squadron. I think if Squadron doesn't, if all this happens, they build it all up, hype's big, game comes out and it's terrible, it doesn't sell very well. There's lots of problems there, but I think Squadron, they won't bother because Star Citizen makes so much money. Why would you? Logically, you would never make another Squadron game if it fails. It needs to succeed for them to make a second one. But if it does succeed, maybe Squadron 42 EP2 goes into pre-production, but still, that's a tiny percentage of people in the company. Maybe they do some motion capture stuff, but they've got to focus on stuff. This is such thing. I can't have that. That's the funny thing. I think maybe for me, relief is the right word. That would be the number one kind of word. If Squadron can get out, I'll be relieved more than anything. Hopefully it'll be good and it'll be fun, but I'll just be relieved that it's done. And yeah, hopefully Star Citizen can start really cracking on. We'll see.